My next guest is coming off a big win over Trey Ogden at UFC Fight Night back on April 16th. It's Jordan Leavitt back here on the program. Congrats on the win, man. I know it was a close fight, but just your overall thoughts on the performance a couple days removed from the victory.
Um, I'm pretty happy with it. I haven't had a fight that was kind of like a grind and like since my third amateur fight, so that's always good. And yeah, I mean, I'm very happy with the performance. There was a lot of like drama and things happening the last little bit of camp, so I'm glad I was able to pull it out. And it helped that I was the underdog, so it made me feel good about myself afterwards.
Okay. Not to get too specific, but anything you can kind of generally talk about that was leading into the fight that, you were dealing with? You said drama. Don't want to pick too much, but I'm just curious what you were dealing with.
Oh, I dislocated my ankle 10 days before,
Wow.
and I also got really sick, but my antibiotics, I'm immune to them. So I went through an entire course of antibiotics for strep throat. And then on Monday, it was still getting worse. So then I had to get on new antibiotics, which kind of ruined the weight cut and everything. So it was just like the camp was amazing up until the last 2 weeks. Like it was the best camp of my life. And then I felt like all the negative karma for the camp hit me all at the same time. So
it's crazy. When you said drama, I thought you meant like you had an issue with someone or something happened at the gym, but that's a lot more serious. Have you ever had to deal with that many things going into a fight? I know you're never 100%, but that seems like a lot.
The sickness probably actually bugged me more than the ankle, because I could just, the last week of your camp, you're not doing anything, you're just kind of chilling. But like the strep was really bothering me. Like I was getting a fever and like I was having trouble breathing, and especially when the antibiotics weren't working, that was kind of like scary, because I'm like, okay, I need my lungs, to be I thought it was to be a grappling heavy fight, and I was like, well, if I can't breathe, I'm gonna have to be very conservative with my fighting style. But last five Matt says I broke my ankle in September, the other ankle, so I hurt my good ankle. So I was kind of already used to fighting with one good leg.
That's crazy. So you're like Captain Hook going into the fight, basically, just on one leg there, which is nuts. So the game plan, what was it? Like heading in, and do you feel like you executed it?
I actually didn't really have a game plan. I actually planned to probably, like, if I did, it was to force a lot of clinches. Trey's more of like a shooting type wrestler, and I didn't want to gas myself like in a shot battle, so I wanted to clinch a lot more in like dirty box. But I was having trouble cutting off the ring, and he couldn't cut off the ring either. So I kind of leaned into leg kicks. So that's not something I really trained too much. I don't even hit the heavy bag anymore. It hurts my toes. But now that my feet are swollen from kicking so much, maybe I'll have to start conditioning that. But yeah, I would just be conservative and, conserve my energy, not like redline myself that my recovery wasn't going to be like top notch. And yeah, he just let me get away with whatever I needed to do. He let me kind of control the cage and like score my points and avoid damage. So yeah, I was able to. I was able to use a lot more experience than I was able to use my experience to my advantage, and it felt pretty cool to kind of outsmart somebody.
Yeah, especially someone who has a lot more fights than you do, at least professionally. So that was good. Was there anything that surprised you in the fight on his end that maybe you weren't expecting?
He was a lot more comfortable to strike than I thought he would. I thought he would definitely shoot more often, but I think we both kind of went in there thinking, okay, this person's not going to outstrike me. So it was kind of, I said in the UFC.com interview that I was either going to win the first round or it was going to be a weird herky-jerky decision, and that's what I got. So if anything, I think he let me just land the leg kicks. He never stopped them. He never really countered them, never punished me. So I feel like I kind of like got the score. I never had to adjust my game plan. So I think that surprised me. I kind of got to just cruise. So that was nice.
How are you feeling though going to the judges' scorecards? Because you never know what the judges, how like what was going through your head when they started reading the scorecards.
I felt pretty confident about the scores because he only landed. I think there's only like 18 strikes landed to the head on the feet for the entire fight between the both of us. And every time he'd punch me in the body, I'd blast a snap kick to the body to kind of like, get the point back. And I knew I outlanded him handily with the kicks. I felt pretty confident. My coach was a little nervous. He's like, first round was close because you gave it away. Second round was close because nothing happened. He's like, you got to win this round. And I just won the third round because I feel like I just out toughed him. I kind of got impatient. And I just like, I was afraid of putting my left foot forward because of my ankle. So I went orthodox for like 5 seconds, landed 2 right hands, and it kind of staggered him or stunned him a little bit. And he took a really bad shot, and then he let me just finish the round on top. But I think I just out toughed him in the third round, and the first 2 rounds were up in the air. So,
so when you find out you won the fight, how are you celebrating after a win like that? I know you're kind of, like you said, you had the strep throat, you had the injury and stuff, but how did you enjoy yourself after the matchup?
oh, just got home and did some interviews, and my wife made a nice like 5-fruit trifle of like mangoes and bananas and strawberries and berries, and ate a trifle and some C's candy, and that lasted for like, a day. I can't really eat that unhealthy for that long. I feel gross. And then we went on a date, and just chilled, just relaxing. I was in camp for like 12 weeks because I had 2 fights in two fights in 4 months. So I never really got out of camp. So I'm kind of happy that like my feet are hurting and the ankle hurt, and I'm on antibiotics. It's forcing me to take like a week off, and I'm just relaxing. I'm excited to see what the next step's going to be.
I know you're still dealing with a bunch of stuff like you mentioned. Do you have kind of a timeline of when you'd like to get that next fight? Because I know you want to take some time off and sort of heal and everything like that. Ideally, when would you like to have that next fight?
I was actually going to hop into something possibly last minute for this weekend, but then my agent saw how sick I was backstage because Luis Koski, I was hopefully fight at 170 because he dropped out because of COVID, but then Lance saw me backstage and I was like coughing up a lung and like wrapping my ankle all crazy, and he's like, never mind, we'll just focus on this one. He's like, but if you could avoid damage this fight, really try to do that. So I was hoping to have a twofer for April, and yeah, now they've already scheduled through June, and I have a few weddings to be a part of in June. So that's kind of, I'm loved so much it's messing up my fight schedule. Too many people want me to be a part of their weddings, but hopefully probably August or September. That's a little longer than I wanted to wait, though.
Any fighters getting married that we might know that you're going to be involved in the wedding?
Oh, no fighter. Oh, Roxy's getting married too. I forgot about that.
Oh, that's right. Roxy's okay, married. Cool.
I think that's in October though. Yeah, but just two of my friends are getting married. One in beginning of July, one in the end of June. So that's kind of a pretty big block. Like 2 4-day long groomsmen trips. So I can't fight, that soon after that. So we'll have to see how it goes.
Is her wedding's got to be themed, right? I mean, that's so Roxy if it was going to be a themed wedding, right? Do you know if it is?
I don't know if there's a theme yet. I don't care where that wedding is. I would fly to Japan for that wedding. Like, yeah, there's so many things up in the air. I don't know how it's going to go.
Yeah, I was just thinking, and especially your teammate Joanne Wood had kind of like a Halloween wedding, which I thought was cool.
Yeah, it was. That one was a lot of fun too. Like, got some nice characters at Syndicate, so we kind of cool to see what they all do.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Any opponents of mine, or I guess you just wait to see what the division looks like come August, because I know things can change a lot.
Yeah, there's so many lightweight fights coming up the next like 3 months. I'll kind of just have to pick and choose how everyone's looking when the time gets closer, because Claudio fights this weekend. And if he wins that fight, we're building streaks, and his streak's a little bit longer than mine. So I really want that fight eventually back one day. But besides that, I don't really have anybody in mind.
What about fatherhood? How's that been? I know it's been a little bit now. How are you adjusting to all that and everything else? Because it's one of the best jobs in the world, in my opinion.
Yeah, she's 15 months next week. So she's walking. So that's, we have to be more vigilant now. But I feel like the hardest part of, infancy is like past. She's eating food and walking. She can entertain herself. So I have more worries, but it's a little bit easier to like put her down for a bit and get things done. So I feel like I'm getting more done around the house, and she's a little bit more, she's just more independent. It's easier and harder, and
there's new challenges every month as it goes on, right? I'm sure you're getting more sleep though, right? She's probably sleeping a lot.
Oh yeah, I'm sleeping a lot more. She'll fight me though. Like, she's gotten tougher. She's as stubborn as I am. So now sometimes she'll just like stay up until like 3 a.m. and I know she hasn't slept like in 12 hours. I don't know how she does it. So she's like smart enough to be stubborn. She knows how to hurt us and get back at us. So, trying to deal with her temperament, it's been kind of a fun challenge.
And any plans for the rest of the week other than recovering? Are you just gonna like what do you do when you're recovering? I know you still got to be a dad and everything. Are you watching any TV or what have you been up to?
I'm started another playthrough of the Mass Effect trilogy,
Oh,
and
awesome.
so it's like 120-ish hours to finish that. So maybe I'll be done with that by next week. And I'm trying to read 4 books for this week because I fell behind last week because
4 books a week? That's awesome.
Because last week I was supposed to read 2, and I didn't read any because of the weight cut and the distractions. And so I have to kind of read 4 this week to catch up. I'll definitely get 3. So I'm just trying to read those 4 books and then play Mass Effect and wait for my feet to heal up and my ankle and see how, and then just move on from there.
Any book that you've read recently that you'd recommend? Anything interesting you've been reading?
Oh, yes. Like there's this
one
book. There's this one book called A Man Called Ove. It's like OVE. Like I cried about 9 times during that book. If you're the person that like kind of gets like choked up when you watch the first scene in Up, where like the wife dies, book will make you cry at least half a dozen times. It broke my heart like several times. It wasn't like an emotional gut punch. It was like emotional TKO. That book was amazing. And what's another book? And always the courage to be just like, I'm reading, it's a self-help psychology book, and I'm reading the sequel to it right now called The Courage to Be Happy. So those are always like good books too.
Good stuff, and good fight on the weekend, Jordan. Thanks so much for the time. We're looking forward to what's next. Hopefully, speedy recovery on all the injuries and the strep and everything else. Sort of the variety of things you had to deal with. Just remind people where they can get a hold of you on social media. Any sponsors or shout outs? I'll give you the last word.
Oh, yeah. If you want to follow me on Twitter, I'm going to start using the Twitter. I'm not quite sure how it works, but I like it. Mr. Jojo Monkey King on Twitter, and at Monkey King _UFC on Instagram if you want to see my memes or me posting some weird things.